Welcome, people. Welcome, guys. Wonder what's time now at your part of the world.
8:30 in Vancouver.
So to Mishubai and me, it's 5:33.
5:30, yeah.
Jan, what's time now?
It's about 10:33 a.m.
What's your city actually, Jan?
It's Wichita, Kansas. It's called the heart of America. It is at the very center of America.
You mean the Bible Belt?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
But it's quite early in the morning for Sunday, right?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a good beginning of the Sunday. Like a coffee always makes it easy. I think our audience is already with us. So let's have a look. Okay, what type of audience we have. We always give a little time for our audience to join us. Mishwai, are we live, Mishwai?
Sorry? Yes, we are. Yes,
We are
we are
live.
live.
We
People
live
are
now,
watching
and the audience has already joined us. Welcome, everyone. In this episode of the Prosecution Report, we examine a few events that raises serious questions about human rights, governance, and accountability in Bangladesh under the interim administration led by Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus. Joining me today as panelist, Kaji Mamoon, activist and blogger. He is also from Global Justice Network Foundation, and Saifur Rahman Mishu, an activist, IT consultant, and a blogger. And as usual, joining me, co-host Anwar Shadat Jihan, an aeronautical engineer and a columnist. Jihan, would you please give our audience an idea of what we are talking about today?
Thank you, Mr. Alam, for connecting today, and welcome and warm welcome to our guest. Today, I'm going to talk about something very extremely painful, but at the same time, it is urgently necessary. Because what we are seeing today in Bangladesh is not merely a political conflict, or it is not a merely conflict between one party versus the other. It is much more than that. We are seeing the collapse of humanity. We are seeing celebration of cruelty. So let me go over some of the incidents that will help shed light into what we're actually seeing in Bangladesh. And let me start with the tragic end of the wife and child of our student league leader from Bagherhat, Saddam. Mr. Yunus and his unconstitutional regime turned Bangladesh into a place. He has brought an cruel environment where people are taking their own lives. And after they're doing that, we have seen Saddam not getting a bail to attend the funeral of his family members. You know, I don't know how inhuman you have to be. Just think for a second how inhuman Mr. Yunus has to be to reject the bail for Mr. Saddam. And this is just not a single incident, it is part of a pattern. We have seen a cancer-stricken patient, wife of Chittagong councillor Joseph, who was detained and arrested when the cops could not find Mr. Joseph. And this lady is a cancer patient. Then this guy had to surrender so that his wife can be saved. Then we have seen mother, father of our Awami League activists, supporters, being hacked to death. For example, look at the case of the Chhatro League leader in Panchagor, whose mother was offering her Esha prayer. She was connecting with her God. And at that moment, mobs came to his house and with sharp weapon hacked her to death. So these are the attacks on the family members of Awami League activists and supporters. And then there is another pattern which is targeted towards the elderly senior political leaders of Bangladesh Awami League. Let me start with the tragic scene from the hospital of the former industry minister, uh, freedom fighter, a former Jubilee chairman, and a minister, very senior political leader. He was imprisoned. He was not provided with the basic treatment that even the worst criminal has a right to. He was not provided that. And we have seen his dead bodies handcuffed to the bed. And he fought for his country. He fought for the freedom of his country back in 1971. And that was his end. Then we have seen.
I mean, Jihan, just a minute. Just a minute. I would like to actually bring the attention of our panelists today. How is it like we all live in different countries? What a nation we have become if we are not treating our heroes with dignity. Would this happen in any country where a veteran soldier would be treated this way? Would this happen in any country?
No, not at all. Like I have seen probably half of the world. Like I have lived in different countries, different culture, different languages. I have experienced different cultural phenomena, like where people celebrate Second World War, where people celebrate First World War. Still, there is no such example of our true heroes, like that type of incidents happening anywhere. Even if you consider just political leaders, people are gonna lose interest in politics when you keep pressuring and keep violating human rights against these leaders. Because today it's probably Awami League leaders, tomorrow it's gonna be BNP or some other parties. This is just an obstacle for democracy.
Right, and then we have seen.
I mean, it is impossible. Our heroes, our soldiers.
Yeah.
Okay, back to you, Jihan, please.
They deserve the highest respect, but we have seen them being beaten with shoe, humiliated, and we have seen folks celebrating that, and this is highly unacceptable. Then we have seen the elderly father of a student leader, because they could not find the student activist, political activist, they arrested his father, detained him, mentally tortured him. Now we are talking about the elderly politicians, right? Besides that, we have also elderly citizens, such as former Chief Justice Khairul Haq, who was arrested simply because he was in the High Court when the verdict against the killers of Bangabandhu was granted. And he was behind that. That was his fault. Now he's in the jail. He suffered 2 heart attacks. And I know this gentleman because he used to be my neighbor for a long time. And he was a guy who was celebrated, respected by all sorts of political parties. BNP, Jatiya Party, Awami League, because he was a respected citizen of the country. But now he is suffering 2 heart attacks. And in this way, he's going to also end up like Mr. Humayun, dead. We have seen Amir Hossain Amu, the great Amir Hossain Amu, a senior, well-vetted leader. He is in jail, in handcuffs, being humiliated. We have seen Asaduzzaman Noor, Bakir Bhai, also known as Bakir Bhai. He is suffering the real fate of Bakir Bhai. Unfortunately, Bakir Bhai became a reality under Yunus. So, Mr. Alam, what we are seeing is that it is a complete erosion of basic humanity as we know it. And we must not remain silent. There must be dialogue and there must be an end to all these atrocities. Back to you, Mr. Alam.
Thank you, Jihan. And these are just a few incidents we have shown.
Can I add one thing here? Probably Jihan has missed one very most recent incident, that one of the very old Awami League leader in Chittagong just died yesterday in jail. He was 80 years old, and he was just a general secretary of a committee of a ward committee, not even like central or anywhere. So he had, and also to add, he was suffering from cancer. In jail. He just died. He couldn't he wasn't granted any treatment. He had to lie on the floor in the jail, and he just died. It's just inhuman.
I mean, these are just a few incidents we have saw. I know someone personally. He is a leader of a district unit of Bangladesh Chatra League. Police couldn't get him, so they arrested his 79-year-old elderly father. He was granted a bail, and from the jail gate, he was arrested again. 9 months in the jail, a 79-year-old sickly elderly, just because he fathered a son who is a Bangladesh Chatra League member, Bangladesh Student League member. We have seen sons, there is a son, 16, 17-year-old or 14, I couldn't recall my memory yet properly. And this 14-year-old boy is in detention for like over a year now. This is just inhuman. This is gross. What does the international law and international norm says about this, Kazimana?
So there are regulatory bodies, international organizations. They actually have some such rules that dictates like how like the national laws they should practice. Like in the year 2000, I'll give you an example. So detaining or harassing a person's relative to pressure a real target is a collective punishment and a clear violation of international law. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, that's ICCPR, ratified by Bangladesh in year 2000, requires that criminal responsibility be personal and prohibits arbitrary arrest or detention. Article 9 in that insists on the right to liberty and security of the person. No one may be deprived of liberty except on grounds and procedures established by law. Article 17 guarantees protection from arbitrary interference with family life. Those protections apply equally to Bangladesh's domestic law. Recent cases show that the interim government, like disregarding these principles, like for example, on September 30th, 2025, last year, just 3 months ago, a group of army officers raided that Dhaka home of Sanjida Islam, a prominent activist of Mayer Dak, in English is mother's call. They detained her brother Saiful Islam Shamol at gunpoint without any warrant, interrogated him at a military camp for 2 hours, and pressured him to sign blank papers. And that's according to Human Rights Watch. Sanjida said the raid was meant to intimidate families campaigning against enforced disappearances. Another example is the arrest of writer Sohail Hassan Galib. You guys might remember in late 2025. He was charged with hurting religious sentiments after publishing a novel and criticism of religious extremism. The charges appearing politically, the charges that are appearing are politically motivated and illustrates how authorities can actually target relatives or artists to like stifle dissent. International legal standards condemn such actions for several reasons. Number one, collective punishment. So detaining a family member for an alleged offender's actions transfers guilt to an innocent person, not the person who is at guilt. It is violating the core principle of individual criminal responsibility. It's like I did something, my brother is not responsible, my mother is not responsible, no one else is responsible, I am responsible for my own deed.
It's
second
collective punishment.
Let me just finish 2 other points. So first one is collective punishment. The second one is arbitrary detention. So taking people without warrant or charges that breaches that ICCPR and the Bangladeshi constitution, that's also happened. The raid on Sanjida Islam's case, her house, when they raided, they didn't have any warrant. Number 3, the violation of dignity and the family integrity. Harassing or arresting relatives intrudes on private life and constitutes a psychological correction that human rights groups are urging that Bangladesh is at the end that these practices and then this established independent oversight of security agencies without reform, such abuse, like this is persistent. Like if you look at that, they're increasing, and it is undermining the rule of law and harming innocent families. It's not just like on the slides we saw a lot of political leaders, but it's not just that. So today maybe the political leaders are victim, but that is creating example that how the citizens will be treated in future.
I mean, they have now two classes of citizens in Bangladesh right now. Okay, one, those who are supporters of Awami League, who votes for Awami League, and then they have this extremist hard right and right-wing people, because it was a right-wing and extremist hard right uprising we have seen in 2024 August. Now, anyone with the left wing, be it intellectual, be it an academic, a teacher, a justice, a lawyer, like they're second class or third class citizens. There is no rights for them. No rights applies to them. If I could recall my memory, Justice Manik, okay, he is like one of the intellects of the country, one of the finest legal brains of the country. Dipumani. These people were attacked by mob in a court premises and in front of the police. Justice Manik, he's a British citizen as well, and his testicles were injured badly. Like, you could not imagine cruel or inhuman treatment of this caliber. And like, there's no doubt, okay, the policing there is unlawful. But is it also, I believe it's intimidation tactic. It's like Roman mission.
Firstly, thank you very much for inviting me today. Now, let me explain a bit about what is actually lawful and what is not. Lawful treatment includes the right to due process, protection from cruel and unusual punishment, and the right to legal counsel. Anything outside these boundaries, such as torture, indefinite detention without charges, or systematic neglect, is unlawful. So here, the question is, what is happening in Bangladesh? Are those lawful? As a very, very common person, I would rather say this is the supreme stage of lawlessness. People are being arrested without any proper charges and investigation, being kept in jail for months and years, and not being granted bails. This is simply inhuman and a violation of human rights in any country or any standard. So, in my opinion, we are actually witnessing a dark time, and to be very honest, the darkest time yet to come through the upcoming engineered election. We have actually seen how the journalists, activists of Bangladesh Awami Leagues, writers, teachers of universities are being harassed and arrested, right? So thousands of those type of incidents happened in last 18 months since Dr. Muhammad Yunus grabbed the power. So there are actually solid evidences of pure injustice, but the government, what we have seen, the government is like denying those repeatedly. So I really wonder how the common people are
denying or facilitating actively. I mean, this is
like,
two different things. Because
of
the
course,
evidence we see is basically government is facilitating this gross human rights abuse.
of course, they are
We
facilitating.
have seen denial. Okay, when it's called, when the mob is attacking someone, they're saying Okay,
True.
mob is a pressure group. We have seen that's a denial. Okay, let's agree with
True.
that. Okay, that's a denial about mob. But here, when this inhuman treatments,
Yeah.
these are the government is the facilitator of this, isn't it?
Yes, I was coming to that. Like when something happens, if like they are being questioned, even by by international media, they are denying. But on the other hand, what we see when something happens in the court area or in the with the support of government machineries, it is completely a facilitation by the government, right? So they are actually denying to outside world, and within the country they are facilitating those incidents. And this is what I I really wonder how the common people who are not political, how they are feeling at this moment in Bangladesh. They are just scared of speaking. I have just read a news this morning. The very prominent journalist, Mr. Mahfouz Aram, was saying now, uh, like the journalists are scared of speaking the truth. They're being self-censored. So we have seen what we have seen. If we compare what
And
was the
Mahfouz
actual,
Anam is a supporter of this government. Mahfouz Anam
of
is
course,
actually one of the most prominent supporter of this government.
exactly.
And even he's
He
saying
once
this.
once he said when he met Dr. Mohammad Yunus, once he said like coming out from this government or Jamuna, he said like we are in the golden era of journalism now. We are very much kind of open and free to speak, free to say anything, free to write anything. But now he is saying we are being self-censored because we are scared. So the same man, just in few months, he's saying
I would
the
like to
opposite
intervene
thing.
one more time, Sakurahman Mishu. As we
Mhm.
know, that Mahfouz Anam, like, he's big in the Bangladeshi journalist world. He's big, in Bangladesh media. However, we also know he is the person of the military. He is the DGFI, the military intelligence person. He has said in two media, we have seen it. Okay, we have evidence of it
Yes,
that
yes, yeah.
he published false document on his newspaper
Yes,
for the army, for the military,
yes.
and person is now saying this. Like
Of
even
course,
military cannot protect him.
of course. He said he confessed that we have seen that in earlier days. Now, like I would like to come outside of this, like prominent journalist or any sort of this area. I would like to think about how the common people, the like common people in the country, are feeling at this moment. So we have seen during the last government how people were living a free and secured life, right? We have seen people going out at middle of the night. They are enjoying like dinner outside, but now they hardly maintain their very basics, right? So I have heard from some of my friends who are completely apolitical, like saying that they feel very much insecure until their children return home from school or coaching centers. So this was not the situation before the so-called July massacre, right? So why so? Anyone anyone can be targeted in the name of friends of fascists anytime in the current government. If the current government or any of the supporter of the current government finds him or her speaking the truth, and we have seen this in case of a very prominent journalist, right? So Anis Alamgir, I can mention the name. This this guy was just speaking the truth, and he is now behind the bars. And I have also read like there are several cases like false
And
allegations
for people,
put.
for people, for our audience, Anis Alamgir is actually an iconic journalist in Bangladesh. He
Of
is the
course.
pioneer of war correspondence. He's the first
Exactly.
Bangladeshi to cover a war, to go to a war zone. Like the
He
whole
has covered
country.
Iraq war, he has covered Afghan war, so from the field. So that's very strange. So I would like to say, before I like pass the mic to you, this cruelty must be ended, and the country needs to be run by the right people who can ensure justice to all, irrespective of party, irrespective of belief, irrespective of gender or whatsoever. Thank you.
So is it hate, vengeance, or fear tactics? To both of you, Katsumama.
But I would say it's both, because it's not just like a fear, like, I mean, hatred is coming from. They have plan, like everything is pre-planned. Like if you see like how the July Revolution evolved, starting from a quota system, and then it's like, oh, we don't have freedom of speech. Like when the freedom of speech itself is the tool for this revolution, so-called revolution, right? Because they use social media, they use newspaper everywhere. Those are the tools for like freedom of like if you're talking about freedom of speech, yes, you used freedom of speech. And what are we looking at now? Like we don't even have like a basic human rights. People are not even getting the legal support.
The notion of human dignity is not acknowledged by this government and their
Not at all.
tools.
Not at all.
Not even
Following any international law, they're not following any international rule of law. Like no, like even if you look at like not just the journalists, even if you look at like how lawyers are being treated,
how dead
people
bodies
who actually they are within the legal system.
Are they even following the local laws, let alone the international law? Are
I
they
mean,
even following the local laws?
there is a, I would like to point this out. There is a fine line between rule of law and governance by law. I mean, we know that there are many governments, okay, instead of rule of law, they govern by the law, which is autocratic, of course. But here, we are not even governed by the law because law is philosophy, law is fundamental rights. Everything is violated. Jian wanted to add something to it. Jian.
Yeah. I wanted to say that not even the people who are living alive, who are dead, even dead bodies does not have any dignity right now. We have seen the
Yes,
dead bodies.
exactly. Dead bodies are desecrated. They are like, they are dug out of their graves and burnt. The mob kills someone and they burn the dead body. This is exactly what's happening. A message, Yunus's message to Bangladesh is cruelty is okay, brutality is okay. Suddenly, like all those cruel people, brutal people, they are they're open. They're doing whatever they like.
Because we have seen all the extremists who have been released as soon as Dr. Modi Yunus like got the power. So we've seen that. So when you enable that, when you make them free, they are basically in power because Dr. Modi Yunus knows he got the power with help of this extremist. So he will not do anything. He will always enable them. He will support them. He will facilitate them. So whatever these extremists do, he will not stop them. Never.
I mean, eradication of terrorism was Bangladesh's one of the success stories in the past few years, in the past decade, because we have seen during the time of ISIL violence and Al Qaeda violence, Bangladesh, when the whole world suffered, even the West, Bangladesh, a country of 90% Islamic population, Muslim population, we had like one or two incidents of terrorism, One of it was gross, that is holy artisan, when 21 people, including foreigners, were slaughtered. However, Bangladesh Awami League government, they eradicated terrorism. They put all the terrorists in the prison, and as soon as Yunus came to power, first thing he did, one of the first actions, was releasing the terrorists, including a terrorist like Jasimuddin Rahmani. He openly calls to kill people. He is behind blogger killing of Bangladesh.
And these are the internationally recognized terrorists. They are not like just like, oh, they're recognized by previous government. These are the terrorist groups that they are recognized by international organizations.
And I would like to also mention about Major Fayed Jia, who was behind the killings of Obiji. Now he's openly being invited in media and speaking out. And there is a $5 million bounty against his arrest. The United States State Department offered $5 million for the capture of information that will lead to capture of Major Jia.
And if I'm not wrong, Abhijit was an American citizen too, right?
Yeah. Did U.S. Embassy say something about this action, Jihan? You are a U.S. citizen. It's your concern.
Yeah. So
did the U.S. Embassy say anything?
We've been continuously reaching out to different sorts of diplomats, and what they have been telling me is that we don't know what is going behind the scene. There may be some talks going on between Bangladesh government and the U.S. government, but it is not in public. I think this is a way of deflecting, and this is a way of not taking the accountability. Because there are also some, we have seen the U.S. diplomat, right, romanticizing the idea of being friends with Jamaat. So I don't know what they're doing. They're enabling this extremists in Bangladesh.
And Jamaat Islam is the mother of all terror in Bangladesh. They're the funder, the facilitator, and they give them safe house, hideouts, also the ideological support. A terrorist speaker before the terrorism, Jamaat Islam, the extreme hard right organization in Bangladesh. They have the funds, they have everything, they have the connections. And now we see the US and other Western governments keeping a very good relationship with Jamaat Islami. Even last week, we have seen an US diplomat saying, okay, it's okay if Jamaat Islam comes to power. What's wrong with that? They were saying it to female journalists. The US diplomat was saying it to a female journalist. And what happened yesterday? The head of Jamaat Islam, the Amir, he said, okay, the women who comes to position of power, or women who are working outside home, the working women, they are prostitutes. That's what he tweeted yesterday.
And not only he has tweeted, let's say, he said very openly in his interview with Al Jazeera, right? No woman or no female has the right to become the party leader, the supreme leader of their party. That's because she is a woman. That's very ridiculous. Where we have example in very so many examples of women running the entire country and very successfully run. And even our country was run or led by two women leaders for last 30 years, and we were growing. It's very strange.
And if you guys notice, now he's claiming that they respect women. How? We have 43% female membership. So let's say I have 4 wives. So I have in my family, I have 80% female representation. Should I say oh yeah, that's the respect for women? Because that's how they're claiming.
What happened to women in Bangladesh is that in the past decade, Bangladesh was the highest achiever when it comes to women empowerment. Bangladesh was at the top of the world ranking by World Bank and all the international organizations. And we, as Bangladeshis, we wanted to end this practice of, multiple wives. And we had a rule that we had law that if you want to marry, have a marry or have a second wife, you will have to have permission from your first wife. Now that law is no longer there. It
Dismissed.
has been
Yeah,
allowed.
it doesn't exist anymore. It has been dismissed. Here, I would even ask even the audience and my other panel members or whoever you are watching us, give me one example, just only one example, where simultaneously the house leader, the prime minister, the speaker of the parliament, and the leader of the opposition were female at the same time. Just give me just one example of any other country which we
We had,
set.
under Sheikh Hasina's government, we had 12,000 elected women in our country. 12,000 elected public officials. There is no other country in the world with so many women representation. Now, what's happening is that these women leaders, they are intimidated. We are seeing students are intimidated, working class people are intimidated, political activists are intimidated. What do they want to achieve from this intimidation and fear tactics?
Like none of these are like, if you look at the series of events, right, none of these are like isolated incidents. Like you might be thinking like, oh, like there is like 10 journalists, like, or 20 like let's say social activists, and then you're talking about political activists. Now we are like women. So like all of these are coming with a pattern, like the fear they are using, like we're talking about. Like when fear becomes an instrument of rule, like society changes in profounding and damaging ways, because citizens, like anyone, people like you, me, we are learning that like criticism can lead to like detention or something even worse, right? The result, so what is the result? Like you can look on your social media feed today, like how many people are actually protesting for women, or even like on the street. Like if the same thing happen, or same like anyone, not just like let's say like anyone from Awami, like anyone saying such things or tweeting or any other platform, like what would be the result? Like if you like, let me give you some statistics. Like I mean, I think the numbers are important, like because if you're talking about press freedom, like between January and October, that's 10 months in 2025, there are 351 incidents for harassing journalists, arresting them, detaining them, like, and that's including over 109 physical attacks on them. And then it comes to burning down your offices too. There are killings happening inside the jail. So these are all like everything's like, yes, like there is no safe place for anybody to speak out or talk about.
I believe under Yunus in the past 17, 18 months, we had probably 102 extrajudicial killings inside the jail. Jail killing 102.
Yeah.
Half of them are Awami League party members.
Yeah, but how about rest of the half? Like, let's talk about rest of the half too, because like, yes, Awami League leaders are targeted because of political reasons. But rest of the half is just because like no one should speak out. That's why Anis Alamgir, like journalists are inside jail for no reason. That's why people like Saqib Al Hasan, internationally recognized cricketer, can't go home to see his parents because he's accused of what?
Shahriar Kabir.
Yeah, Shahriar Kabir. Like, what is his accusation against him? He played cricket. One person played cricket.
We know and so many writers and academics who are hiding.
Yeah, and the accusation, like if you see the accusation against Saqib Al Hasan is like he killed a street vendor while he was in Toronto, Canada.
I know in my district there is a case, you know. There is a police case, one of those sham cases where you'll say, you know, they'll name few people like Sheikh Hasina and few party members, and then they would not include any names. They said there are too many, okay, the people we do not know. Uh, I, I could recall the number of the case find, and whoever they wish to arrest, they'll put them in this case. I know this woman. She, okay, this is so gross. So this woman, she had a clash with a BNP party member. I mean, just personal clash. And this is winter. She was distributing blankets for the people, like poor, underprivileged people on the street. I mean, this is humanity. This is what we have seen in Bangladesh. Always we share our fortune with those who are less fortunate. So this BNP party member came and asked her, okay, you are our League, you are distributing these blankets to the poor people. That's how you are spreading Awami League ideology. She was arrested. I could provide evidence. Jan, let's move to corruption of Muhammad Yunus a little bit. We need to see this Nobel Peace Laureate. Okay,
so that's the political. So there is like, okay, so before you move into Yunus's like corruption, like let's talk about like why he's in it. Why is he in it? Because like we don't know him as like a Islamist person. Like he's known as like a pro-Israeli person, as far as we know. So what he has?
It's all right to be pro-Israeli. If he wants to be a pro-Israeli, it's okay. Israel is a country. Anyone has a right to support Israel.
It's just like you make friends with, like, at the same time, like you are on two boats, right? So you are one side, like you are friends with the West. One side you are friends with the West, and another side, like you are basically getting all these terrorists home. A permanent place in Bangladesh. Like, how does it work? Like,
that's how these double standard people play, right? So
like,
for their benefit,
he is as manipulative and as cunning a human being could ever be in the West to gain, favor and gain whatever he has. He is showing, I am the pro-Israel person. When he coming to Bangladesh and leading this extreme hard right Islamist to serve his cause, he is here. Okay, I'm the Islamist here. That's him. Like he's playing with everyone. This is how cunning he is. And let's see the financial gain of his. Okay, let's expose his face. Like how corrupt this person is.
He's a billionaire.
Thank you, Mr. Alam. Let me first start by talking about the corruption allegation under the Awami League government. We have been hearing so much about corruption under the Awami League government. While some of those are indeed true, while there were instances when the Awami League government failed to contain the corruption, when we look at the person Sheikh Hasina, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina herself, the only thing that this government could show us was her family jewelries. Because Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's politics, her life, her 24/7 is about the well-being of Bangladeshis, the well-being of Bangladesh, of the nation, and of fulfilling her father's dream about Bangladesh. But then came a Nobel laureate, so-called Nobel laureate, Dr. Muhammad Yunus. And then we started seeing what it means by personal gain. He was indicted with a labor code violation, and he was sentenced to death, sentenced to prison for 6 months. He had a 6 months jail term. All of a sudden, prior to he could come to state power, that charge was dropped. At the same time, High Court also withdrew his 666 crore Bangladeshi taka tax debt. No, he himself effectively forgave himself for his debt. At the same time, in November 2024, he dropped 5 of his labor court charges. By November, he was completely corruption and labor court violations free. There were no legal hurdles against him. Then what he did? He reinstated his own tax exemption for Grameen Bank, for his Grameen Bank, while cutting down the government share from 25% to 10% and increasing his own share. This is just Grameen Bank, right? Dropped all his tax liabilities, dropped all his violations, labor code violations. Then he started taking all sorts of benefits for his Grameen businesses. We have seen him taking a Grameen University license in March 2025, I believe. And then in June, we have seen him getting the digital finance license for Samadhan service, which is also operated by the Grameen Trust. We have seen him getting manpower license. We have seen him getting employment service. He will be sending labor to Malaysia and places like that. So his politics was never, he never was in politics, and he was never about Bangladesh. He was always about his own self. He was always about his personal gain. This is who Mr. Yunus is, Mr. Alam. Back to you.
You are mute.
We can't hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I was muted. What is benefits gained by Muhammad Yunus and Grameen? So we have two questions here. One, whether they are legally okay, and then the question is, if it is legally okay, is it ethically okay too? Qazi Mohammed.
So, like, I mean, look at the from strictly like procedural standpoint, if you look at like all these cases, many of the benefits are granted to who? Like Grameen affiliated organizations, just from the names, like you can understand like where we are coming from. Under the interim government, like it could be like, I mean, under them it could be argued that like, oh, it's legal, but Bangladesh's law, because Bangladesh's law allow executives to approve universities, issue manpower export licenses, or grant tax exemptions. But at the same time, they are also making laws when it's needed, right? So like if you look at the speed and the concentration of approvals, just in 15 days, like you are writing off your country without reviewing. There is no panel like to review what's happening, and there is no questions, there is no discussions. Like within a year and a half, like how many organizations erupted? Like if you look at just not just one example, like Grameen University received approval to operate within the 3 months of application, right? And then they actually, like, I mean, if you look at like, even though like several public universities like it was approved, but look at their process. And Grameen University, you hear the name and the next day you hear like, oh, they are approved. There is no question, discussion on media or like anywhere.
I would like to point out something here too. Let's say if it is legal, we know there is a standard in politics. First, I would say the interim government led by Muhammad Yunus, his role is of any interim government is hold the election free and fair, and maybe some reforms. Okay, and when you do some reform, okay, when you are talking about reform, you speak to all spectrums, all political parties, and if they agree, we could have some reform. Now, one thing we know about the executives of the states, that tax evasion is not accepted. If you would like to be executive of a country, the state level, you have to give your tax paper to the people, okay, so people can see. We know this is a standard practice in politics and governance. So instead, what Yunus did, he just he exempted his 645 crore Bangladeshi tax, which is like huge. It's a few million. How many millions would that be? 120. If 120 taka equals $1, 645 crore is probably nearly 100 million, isn't it? Not nearly 55 million US dollars. 55 US dollars. Can you imagine that? Okay, that's just one step. There are more. So Qazi Mohammed, is to you.
Yeah, like I mean, if you look at it's not just the organization. Like look at like even the people he's appointing, right? So his sister-in-law, what's her name, Nurjahan Begum. She is like health advisor without any record of medical training, and
Apurva Jahangir.
she is the health advisor of Bangladesh. His nephew Apurva Jahangir, like he's the deputy press secretary, like who was a long again Lamia Murshid, long-term Gramin associate. So it's not just like his organization, like we are talking about Samadhan services, we are talking about Gramin employment services, GESL, like all these licenses he got. It's not just that. Like it is also like I mean like I understand that tax portion, like there's complication. People don't understand it, right? Because general people they're like, oh, like does he really owe or doesn't he? Because it's like yeah, they are making a way, but like how about these appointments one after another, like without any qualifications, and like it is getting to a point like if you like look at the long-term damage, like every ministry is suffering, like the economy, the impact we had. We are creating also examples, right? Like we are talking about corruption against the previous government. Like how about now? Like how much money he has lost in the last year and a half? Like what is our?
I mean, you know that every 1% GDP we lose, that's like 15 billion US dollar.
Exactly.
If you take that into consideration, it's only 45 billion US dollar we lost just from our GDP. Like the damage he created to our economy. So many factories shut down. There are politicians, we know in the world, politicians and businessmen, they work together. And during the previous government, there are several businessmen. They worked with the government, so the country's business sector could flourish. They advocate, and these are the reasons why did you work with the government to develop this country, develop the country, develop Bangladesh. That's why many factories are shut down. So it will have a long-term effect. Now, Saifur Rahman Mission, you are from the IT sector, and we know that Grameen recently acquired a license in the IT sector for 5G. Now, I mean, you can explain more. And the corruption there, how much money we have lost, and why the other telecommunication provider did not get any chance to even submit a tender.
Basically it's thank you. Basically it's not only about money, it's about the transparency of the government. So it's not only the bandwidth that Grameen has acquired, but I would like to come to that point, but there have been some other issues. Yes, this is the most expensive one. But we have seen other like measure that has been taken by Dr. Mohammad Yunus as soon as he has come to the power by by showing or by making people fool and like keep them in some sort of dream. So I would like to draw attention of them first, then I'm coming to your question. Okay, we were told that a new dawn of transparency was upon us. We were told that the law would be a shield for the weak, not a sword for the powerful. But today we must look at the cold, hard reality of what has transpired since the administration took the oath of office. So I'll come one by one. First, let us speak of law that impact our government, like taxation and everything. In any just society, the law is a blind judge, right? So it doesn't care for your title. It only cares for the truth. Yet we have witnessed a stay-going act of self-service. Upon taking power, the head of the government, Dr. Mohammad Yunus, saw fit to wipe away a personal tax debt of 666 crore taka, right? So this was not done through even code of law. It was not done through a public hearing. It was done by stroke of a pen, bypassing every legal safeguard we have. The next, let us look at the business of governments. What
I would
this?
like to point out. I would like to point out that
Yes.
case that was running against him, the labor code, the labor law case, where he deprived
Hmm.
many of his employees, and
Right.
we could challenge that in any court in this world, in any court,
Yes.
he'd be convicted. It's a
Yeah.
challenge, but what he did when he came to power, even before coming to power,
Yeah,
like
exactly. He
the
didn't follow any legal. He didn't follow any legal procedure for that, right? He just or issued an order, and then all the texts are gone. Anyway, so we see the machinery of the state being used not to lift the nation, but to expand a private empire of Dr. Muhammad Yunus. How is that? A head of the government becomes the chief negotiator for a deal between, if you remember, Starlink and Grameen Telecom. Since when did the state become a private sales agent, right? It was supposed to be a deal between the government and Starlink at that time. The talk initiated a few years back, and we have a government-owned telecom company which is BTCL, right? It was supposed to be a deal between BTCL and Starlink, not Grameen Telecom, which is owned by Dr. Mohammad Yunus. So it's a very clear case of what I would say corruption or conflict of interest, whatever you say.
I
So
never
wh-
see
so
such
where does
examples.
it
Like
stand
I would like
morally?
to ask Jihan maybe. Like, do you know any U.S. presidents like being involved in private corporations, business, and during their presidency, are they allowed to, even if they're like like let's say they own a
Yeah,
company?
by law, they are not allowed to, but you can compare this with the current serving president, President Donald Trump. He has taken some measures that are not traditional, that are not normal. Through his family members, he has also tried, he has been, uh, I don't know, he has been investing on his business, and he has been abusing his power. So you
yeah,
And
can,
that's been questioned, right? That's been questioned. Whereas
yeah,
when Yunus is doing it, no one is asking the question.
and can you imagine
I
what
yes.
would
mean, I
happen?
mean,
And
I
in a
mean,
vast
from
scale, like he's like on the table for
no, no,
negotiation,
no.
not his relatives, he himself.
Here's the point. What we spoke about the current president of the United States, it was considered that it may not be right. There was no legal problem. He is not using the government to to fulfill his benefit, to get benefit. It's not okay. He is a businessman. He has been a businessman, and a very influential, very renowned businessman. And there might be okay. He's
But
in.
in case of Yunus, Dr. Mod Yunus, this is basically kind of illegal because the talk was initiated between Starlink and BTCL few years back, but he has moved that deal from BTCL to Grameen Telecom. So this is basically even legally incorrect. This is not only ethically incorrect, this is also legally incorrect. So that's one thing, and you might remember Grameen Bank has been handed a royal pass. Do you remember a total tax exemption until the year 2030, right? So and also I would like to add to that hundreds of licenses for including Grameen University and manpower agencies have been handed out like candy in a single group. So this isn't free market. This is a state capture. What is
And it
happening?
happened, all this
Well,
happened in a
we
matter of 2.5
we are
years, right?
nearing the end. We are nearing the end. We have a minute, and this is the question to the panelists. One word to describe Yunus's moral standard. Kaji Mamun, one word.
Yunus's moral standard.
Mm.
I mean, he's just creating an example. Like if you look at
One word, Kaji Mamun, one word. If it is me, I would say I could use non-existent or the non-existent. That's my version.
Not non-existent.
Yeah.
Well, like I mean, I want to use the word crooked, but I don't know how appropriate that would be.
No, it's appropriate. Crooked. All right. Separate mission. One word for this moral standard.
Total standard.
Okay, that's despicable. All right, Anwar Jihan.
He's a monster.
Monster is not cannot be used for moral standard. The monsters can have moral.
He's despicable. I don't know how we can define him.
Despicable.
All right, to the audience, we are nearing end of this episode. Inhumanity and corruption are not isolated problems. They are connected outcomes of unchecked power. When the state punishes the innocent and privileges the connected, justice becomes selective and society absorbs the damage. Accountability is not a luxury. It is the foundation. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week, same time. Stay safe in Bangladesh. Please stay safe now. Thank you.